Hey friends, today's lesson is Kingdom Plant. And in this lesson we are going to discuss about characteristics of plant, parts of plant, and the most interesting part is we are going to get answer for that question. Be with me till the end of the lesson for learning interesting things about plants. So now let's start our lesson with the characteristics of plants. First of all, I have to say that they are autotrophs. They can make food for themselves. As you can see over there, plants got root. With the help of that root, they can absorb water and water dissolve minerals. And also their leaves are able to absorb carbon dioxide and sunlight. They are using sunlight as their energy source, and they can mix the elements of carbon dioxide and water and some minerals in order to produce food for themselves. And at the end of that process, they can make or they can release oxygen as waste product. This process is photosynthesis. So these are one of the kingdoms which are able to make food for themselves. That's why they are autotrophs. The other important part is that they cannot move, as they have roots which are responsible for anchoring them on soil, and they cannot move. They are stuck to the soil actually. And also they do not have skeleton. Like in human and animals, they got skeleton, they got bone structures which are rising them and which giving them a particular shape. But this is not for the plants. Plant body is so much interesting that only water pressure can give it a particular shape. Other fact that they got is they are growing differently from animals. Animals can grow to a particular size. After a time they are stopping growing, and they can grow, their height and their weight both can grow. But about plants, they are growing unstoppable. It means they are always growing. If we tore their leaf, they can produce new leaf. If we cut their branch, they can produce new branch, and every year their height is getting increased. So they are always or continuously growing. So their growth is different from the animals. And all plants are multicellular, means there are no plant which is unicellular. It means every plant got lots of cells which is functioning as tissues and organs. And about plant organs, we can say that they, almost all of them got root or root-like structure, stem, or the stalk which connects root with the leaves. They got leaves, they might have flowers, or they might have fruits as well. So now let's talk about each part, that how they are working and functioning. So the first part is root. Roots are specialized structures for the plants, and they got positive geotropism, means root grows down into the soil. Never they're growing upward, they're always growing downward. And also they got two functions. The first function is to anchor them in the soil. They are growing in every direction that they want, and they can anchor the plant in one place, that in winds and earthquakes, for example, they cannot damage that plant. And also the other function that root got is that root can absorb water and water dissolve minerals and can send it to stem, and stem can carry that water to the leaves, and leaves are doing the photosynthesis process. Some roots can store things inside them. For example, like carrot can store vitamin A, potato can store starch, or about this stuff we can say they are natural antibiotics. So mainly some roots can store some things, some materials inside them. And generally we have two type of root, like taproot and fibrous root. Fibrous root is like branched root, and taproot is a central root, and some hair-like roots are coming out from corners of it. So generally we got two types for the root. Next structure is stem. Stem is also a kind of interesting structure which is connecting root with the leaves. As we said, roots are collecting water and water dissolved minerals, and leaves are doing the photosynthesis. So stem is a way which is joining them, which is bringing that water to the leaf, and makes leaves able to carry that process or to do photosynthesis. And inside the root we got veins like xylem and phloem. As we have veins and arteries inside our body which is carrying blood, which is circulating blood inside our body, and with the blood it is circulating nutrients as well. The same thing, plants got xylem and phloem. Xylem is a kind of vessel which is carrying water and water dissolved minerals from the root to stem, to upward part, we can say. It got one way flow, and the phloem is the second kind of vessel which is carrying the photosynthetic material. It means after ending the process of photosynthesis, the carbohydrate which is produced can be carried to different part of the plant with the help of phloem. And phloem got two-way flow. It means if this leaf did the photosynthesis, so phloem can pass that photosynthetic material to root and also upward to the flowers. And also there are two type of stem, like herbaceous and woody stem, the green stem and the woody stem. Next structure, leaf. Leaves are also so much important and interesting structures. They are growing from lateral bud, from that part which is on the stem, and also they can be different according to their different habitats, according to different adaptations. They might have different shapes, their margin can be different, and their venation can be different. They might have different vein structures, different margins, different sizes and shapes. They got functions, like the first function is photosynthesis, as they are able to absorb carbon dioxide and sunlight, and as the xylem is carrying water to leaves, inside the leaf the main process of photosynthesis is happening. And the other function is gas exchange. They got some structures like this, like bean-like structures on their surface, which is able to close and open itself, and this structure name is stomata. This is the closed shape of stomata, and this is the open shape of stomata. These structures are functioning as releasing oxygen or carbon dioxide, and absorbing oxygen and carbon dioxide, and sometimes excess water can come out with the help of that structure. So with the help of that bean-like structure, leaf can exchange gases as well. Next structure, flower. Flowers are the reproductive part of a plant. It means with the help of the flower, new fruits and new flowers can grow, and it's composed of following parts. Like it might have pedicle. Pedicle is a structure which is connecting stalk or stem of the flower with the flower. The receptacle part, the bulb-like structure. Sometimes fruit can grow from that part, like in strawberry grows. And sepal, the green leaf-like structures which are functioning to protect the petal or the colorful leaves. The petal or colorful leaves which got these colors and really good smells, and this is because attracting different insects, and these insects would work for the pollination. And also collectively the petal and sepal structure is being called as perianth. And also two main and the most important parts in flower structure is stamen, the male reproductive system or organ, and the pistil, the female reproductive organ. So, stamen is the male reproductive organ, we say, and it's composed of two parts, anther and filament. The anther function is to make pollen. Pollen is that yellow color circular substances that you might notice in spring season, that they are flying on air, and sometimes insects can carry it from one plant to another plant, which is really important for the reproduction of the plant. And over there we have a female reproductive system or structure which is pistil. Pistil got three parts, like stigma, that part, style, the neck part of the pistil or female reproductive structure, and over there we have ovary. Inside ovary there are ovules or eggs of the plant. So this is the female reproductive system or organ, and this is the male reproductive organ for the plant. Next structure is fruit. So fruits are seed-bearing structures which got seeds inside of it, and usually they are producing from the ovary wall. It means the inside every flower or bloom there are ovaries. We talked about this in pistil structure. They got stigma, style, and ovary. So fruits are growing from that ovary wall. As you can see, the shapes of that ovary and that fruit, I mean tomato, is almost the same. So fruits are seed-bearing structures growing from ovary wall. As there are different shapes of ovary, that's why we got different shapes of fruit. For example, we can see that, we can compare that blooms with their fruits, that they got the same, exact the same shape. Okay, now another question, the most interesting part of our lesson. Are they really alive? What do you think? Are they really alive? So we got some features by which we can understand that is something alive or not. For example, if they respire, if they exchange gases, so they are alive. And if they digest, if they eat something, they are alive. If they excrete, if they produce waste materials, and if they excrete it, remove it from their body, they are alive. And if they grow, they are alive. And if they move, we can consider that they are alive. And if they reproduce. So what about plants? So what do you think? Let's talk about each of them for getting the answer that how plants are carrying their processes. First of all, plant respiration. Their respiration is quite different. During the day, they are getting carbon dioxide, absorbing carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen. During the night, they are getting oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide. It means they are doing the vice versa. But why and how? The thing we have to know is during the day, they are doing photosynthesis. During the day, they are using sunlight and carbon dioxide and water for making sugar. Sugar is something that they are using, they are consuming as their food material or food particles. And at the end of that process, oxygen is getting released as waste material. That's why during the day they are getting carbon dioxide, releasing oxygen. Why? Because during the day they are doing photosynthesis. But during the night they are doing cellular respiration. It means during the night they are consuming that sugar. They are using that sugar for releasing energy for themselves, for carrying on the day routine again. So during the night they are like consuming their sugar. That's why they are absorbing oxygen and releasing carbon dioxide. During the night, the oxygen and sugar interacting with each other and releasing energy or making energy for the plant. That's why waste material is carbon dioxide. So during the day, they are making interactions between carbon dioxide and water. Oxygen is being released as waste product. During the night, they are making interaction between oxygen and sugar. And as the result of that interaction, carbon dioxide is being released as the waste product. That's why their respiration is a bit different. So, next feature, digestion. Actually, plants are making food for themselves. They are consuming it, consume that food on that time immediately, or they can store it in different shapes. But there are different plants which is eating other animals. But why it is doing that thing? Actually, these sort of plants are living on that place or on that kind of soils which lack nitrogen. As nitrogen is something important for that plants, that's why they are getting that nitrogen from animals or from insects. They can consume different sort of insects as according to their size. If they are big enough, they can consume or they can eat different animals as well. There are different types of it, different shapes they got, the carnivore plants, and different names they got. But basically we can call them as carnivore plants or insectivorous plants. Next feature, excretion. Excretion is a method by which living organisms are removing waste products. As they are alive, as they eat something, so they might produce waste products, and removing waste products in plants are simple. Leaves are doing that thing. During the day, according to their photosynthesis, they are releasing oxygen as a waste product. So during the day, oxygen is waste product for the plant, and during the night, carbon dioxide and water would be the waste product for the plant. That's why there are different stuffs which are waste product for the plant. So also excess water and extra water can be excreted as this. So as we said, on surface of leaf there are stomatas, bean-like structures by which they can excrete, they can release or they can take out the gases, and also extra water which is not necessary for the plant, as you can see in this picture. Next feature would be plant growth. As they are growing with the help of hormones, that's why I selected that title for that, which is plant hormones. What are hormones? Hormones are chemical materials that living organisms are secreting that material, and this chemical material helping a living organism in growth and development. In plants there are different sort of hormones like auxin, gibberellin, abscisic acid, cytokinin, and ethylene. So these hormones are functioning as different ways. So gibberellin, auxin, cytokinin known to be growth promoters, means helping a plant for the grow, and ethylene and abscisic acid mostly helps a plant for stop growing. It means in snowy weathers or in winter season and autumn season, these two hormones are working hard. So basically these hormones are promoting or inhibiting the germination, growth, maturity, flowering, fruit development, abscission, and seed dormancy in the plants, and they can work differently as different functions. For example, basically gibberellin, auxin, and cytokinin can help to the growth, flowering, fruit development, and ethylene and abscisic acid can work as abscission and seed dormancy. Next title or next feature is plant movement. So at the first we said they cannot move because they are anchored with the help of their root. Roots are anchored them. But actually they got two sort of movement. The first one is tropic movement. Tropic movement got some kinds. The first kind is geotropism. Means the interaction or interest of a plant through or to soil is geotropism. That root loves to grow inside the soil and stem or shoot loves to grow in another direction from the soil. The second kind is phototropism, that some plants like to turn their face toward the sun, like sunflower. Next type is hydrotropism. Roots usually grows toward the water source. Wherever is the water source, roots are bending themselves on that direction. They're growing on that direction. And the last tropism is stigmotropism. Means some plants need support. They are just covering or they're just bending themselves toward that support place. Second sort of movement is nastic movement. For example, touch me not flower. With touching, they are sensitive against touch. They are closing their leaves. And also the reaction of a carnivore plant, that they were able to close themselves in order to get food. It's also considered to be a nastic movement. So the last feature of living organism is reproduction. So how plants are reproducing? They can reproduce in two ways, sexually and asexually. Their asexual reproduction is so much interesting. Like, if we cut some branches, put them inside the water, they can grow new roots. So they can grow a new plant. This is an example of asexual reproduction. Or if we put potato in soil, they can grow a new plant. Or some of plants can grow a runner, or they can just overgrow one branch of them, and that branch can make roots, and that branch can grow new plant as in a faraway place. Or inside the soil, the root can, or a bulb-like structure or a bulb root can split itself to different portions, and different portions can give birth or can grow new plants. It means in asexual reproduction of the plant, no seed is required. But in sexual reproduction, everything starts with the pollination. Means whenever anther or the male reproductive part of the plant grows pollen, this pollen can travel to stigma of the same flower or stigma of another flower. This process can happen by the insects. As you can see, pollen is getting produced and bees carrying that pollen from that plant to another plant. Or also butterflies can do the same process. Butterflies also can help in the process of pollination. After pollination, whenever pollen comes and lands to the stigma, they can make a tube-like structure, and this tube-like structure can cause ovary to swell. It means fertilization happens in that place, and after that, fruit can develop from that ovary wall. It means after fertilization, fruit can produced from that ovary wall. So that was all about plants. Thanks for being with me till the end of the lesson.